Alex Kidd in Miracle World has secured itself a very special place within my inner personage. The reason for this is because, like many, in Europe, Australia and Brazil at least, I owned a Sega Master System II, and the original Master System IIs included this marvellous game as a built-in piece of excitement. It might have even been your first gaming experience, and I certainly remember playing it for most of Christmas Day in 1991. Obtaining that blasting power ring for the first time? Good memories. Sonic the Hedgehog would later replace Alex as the built-in title, but we're not interested in that, because Alex Kidd is a frickin' bomb! In fact, there were also a few iterations of the first Master System with Alex Kidd built in, such as this model sold in Brazil, called the Master System II, but actually a Master System I. How strange. Originally, Alex Kidd in Miracle World was released in November 1986 to Japanese markets, but made its way over to European and North American shores by the subsequent year. Programmed by the incredible Yuji Naka, this game was a strong reason why Alex Kidd held a solid claim to the Sega mascot throne for a good number of years. There was even a board game and some other things. That is, until that blue streak of porcupines turned up and ruined everything. Scores for the game were almost universally good, with some publications going absolutely crazy for the cutesy platformer. Hence, Sega decided to bundle it with their 8-bit console in 1990, enticing the younger gamer whilst the Mega Drive targeted the older, cash-rich teen. The integrated version had a couple of differences from the original. The first is the snack Alex is shown munching at the map screen. It's now a hamburger rather than an onigiri in the original. And by the way, this is an onigiri. It's essentially a rice triangle. The second change is the control scheme is swapped with button 1 to hit and 2 to jump, mirroring the NES Mario layout. But before I babble on for the rest of the century, this video isn't about Alex Kidd in Miracle World per se. As you know by reading the title, it's about Alex Kidd in Miracle World 2, available as a download from the link shown here. Originally, this was released in April 2016 as a work in progress by Ian Wall of Sega8bit.com for the 2016 SMS Power Coding Competition. Although Ian actually started design of this game way back in 2012, but only made significant progress through the use of Kid Ed by Calindro, a ROM hacking tool specifically designed for Alex Kidd in Miracle World. You've got to love the retro community. The fact it's a ROM hack of the original game feels evident through its familiarity, but although it's the same engine, it's not just a few tweaks here and there. This is an entirely new game, including a revamped soundtrack by Nicole Marie T, which sends waves of nostalgia over me, although they feel like waves from a slight parallel dimension. The current version from May 2017 is a standalone ROM in itself, rather than a patch, and as well as providing a fresher look, it cleans up many issues from the initial release, aided by a small team who worked on the project. Not only that, but there was also a delightfully arousing boxed version produced, in limited numbers, which Ian was kind enough to send to me. I just want to show you the game box if I can, because this is really something to behold. This looks like an official Sega Master System game. It looks like it just rolled out of the factory in 1991. And the artwork is amazing. In fact, it's much better than the original game's artwork, especially in the West. Over in Japan, the artwork was much more similar to this. And this feels like a solid continuation of that. We've even got the Sega seal of approval on the side of the case, and inside it's just, the quality doesn't end. We've got an instruction manual, the cartridge, look at that shiny cartridge, it's absolutely sensational, and even included is this Sega System catalogue, and I spent an entire day looking through this thing once. It's just so many goods to salivate over in there. Also, before I forget, got a poster as well. What a nice touch. That checkered Master System cover art gets me excited every single time. But it has been beautifully executed. The colour manual is something to behold, and still manages to entice feelings of nostalgia despite the improvements over original iterations. The faithful Master System cartridge provides a sturdy comfort in all its rectangular, basic glory, and the little details just provoke feelings of new 8-bit excitement. In many ways, the box was always the most exciting part of any new game. Regardless of its unofficial status, having a boxed copy like this makes it feel official, especially given the professionalism here. So in my mind, 30 years after the original iteration, a sequel is here to this much neglected franchise. Of course, this excludes the other Alex Kidd titles, because none of them are what I'd call a sequel to Miracle World. They're just other games, much like Sonic Spinball and Sonic Labyrinth were to the Sonic series. Or in fact like the Western release of Mario 2, which, like Alex Kidd in High Tech World, wasn't actually a Mario game at all. And even though Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle tries to continue on from Miracle World, screw that game, it's on the Mega Drive and they can't even get the king's name right. In any case, Miracle World ended with the cliffhanger that his father, King Thunder, or King Sander pre-Romanization of his name, had gone on a jolly and got himself lost for silly sausage. So Alex Kidd in Miracle World 2's blurb sets the scene. It's been 6 months since Alex defeated Janken the Great and reclaimed the crown. Alex's brother, Egil, has taken the throne and oversees the city of Redaxion. There is still unrest on the planet Ares, however, as monsters still roam the land. Alex is still greatly concerned by the whereabouts of his missing father. Redaxion's forces have been unable to locate King Thunder, so Alex sets off himself to find him. He retraces his steps and returns to the place where the trail was lost. Perhaps there was something he missed. Alex must further explore the Miracle World, traverse dangerous lands, and use the art of shellcore to defeat his enemies. He once again has his motorcycle and pettycopter to help him get around, but he also now has a plane to fly him across treacherous waters. Experience even more action in Alex's greatest adventure yet. Once again, it takes a kid like you to handle this even greater challenge. So, as we're told, you actually start in the same room Alex finished in during the first game, and the first level eases you in nicely with some familiar surroundings, and a dirty great pool to swim through, with seemingly docile yet incredibly irascible fish bobbing about. One thing about the original Miracle World was the high difficulty, for me at least. Thankfully, since having a Spectrum from a tender young age, I grew accustomed to not making much progress in games, and I was perfectly fine with this. It's probably one of the reasons I was more drawn into the workings of these games rather than occupying myself with completing a title and moving on to the next. However, Miracle World 2 is even harder than the original, and that's not a criticism. I loved the challenge of the original, so now with my slightly more proficient fingers, this game feels around the same difficulty curve as the original did. We still have twitchy controls, a jump which feels more like a hover, and some spurious collision detection, but it wouldn't be The Kid without these. My numerous and continuous deaths throughout playing are clear evidence of this. Seriously, I'd forgotten how skittish this game could feel. Aside from the level arrangements, notable differences are new puzzles, an Alex Kidd whose hair has grown to shaggy lengths, and a whole slew of new characters. Hopefully this moving testicle is also gone. You will also notice, like the original, there's no hamburger, as this is a hack of the original cartridge ROM, and therefore the button layout is also true to the original. What's up with you, Alex? Not hungry? Food not good enough for you this time around? You fussy little scamp. One thing I appreciated about the first game was the flexibility involved in your level traversal. Some obstacles could be overcome by a variety of different methods. Sometimes you might blast on through using your bike. Other times you might have to use an object obtained earlier in the shop, but there was usually a method to suit your playing style. It's something that I'm very pleased to see continue in this second outing of the game. Here's a very simple example straight from the off. Do you take the easy route through the blocks, or the slightly more perilous route and collect the extra cash? You're then faced with this additional recess, where further money can be found. For me, taking the easiest route is nearly always best, although that was easier said than done on the non-linear levels. But at least I can still stick to low speeds on the bike. But like the original game, nothing creeps up on you. Your possible paths are always evident and your enemies always play fair, leaving you to plan your route or just trust your skill and execute that slightly precarious jump. Although those Grim Reaper ghost things are still a pain in the crack. Something which isn't continued is the Janken, or rock paper scissors competitions at the end of each level. And you know what? Thank God for that. Regardless of the fact that there's a pattern, how the hell was I supposed to know that as a 9-year-old? Absolute
Rummy impersonators.
This time we're straight for the rice triangle every time. There also seems to be more secrets than the previous game, often with clues, leading you behind shrubbery, which is a pleasant aesthetic. What else do we have? Yes, a new vehicle. A plane! Like the bike, things can get pretty hairy, and the projectile seems to evaporate a few feet in front of your soaring transportation. But again, you know what you're dealing with, and the skill level is well balanced. We also have the ability to continue if you have the funds to buy one, which is more than welcome. Although, frankly, going into the editor and upping your lives is still my preferred option. So, just like its original, Alex Kidd in Miracle World 2 serves up a slice of timeless classic gaming, and this really is classic gaming. The graphics may be fairly simple with plain backgrounds, but that does mean a solid 60 frames per second, or 50 if you're on a PAL system, which I will add does mean the game runs slower on European hardware. In fact, the original built-in version also did, even though it was almost exclusively sold in 50Hz regions. And actually, it feels much nicer to play it at this slightly slower rate. The twitch factor is reduced, and everything feels more manageable, almost like the game is optimised for 50Hz, and actually runs too fast at 60. You've seen the gameplay at 60Hz for most of this video, but it's definitely worth pointing out that you've probably played the original at 50Hz, so if you want a level playing field and you want to emulate this game, make sure you set the region to European. Anyway, overall this new venture reeks of nostalgia and attention to detail. In fact, it's drenched in these two substances like I don't know what. Apparently Ian's going to be making some more cartridge versions, so if you fancy basking in a pool of warm nostalgia and wetting your pants, keep an eye out at Sega8bit.com and grab yourself a physical copy, because we all know physical copies are the best copies. Man, I love the retro community. Thanks for watching, subscribe, click, contribute, all those shenanigans as normal, and I'll see you on the next video hopefully, and I hope you have a great evening. Goodbye.